G'day guys, and welcome to a review of Saturday the 24th of September. Sorry, I'll just get it up. So the two meetings were at Rosehill and Caulfield. Rosehill with a rail out 5. It did look to play pretty well, really. Maybe a little bit of an on-pace-ish, fence-ish was an assistance, but most wins did look tempo-related. Quite a few slow paces there, which aided the ones on pace to get home. So I think that track played pretty well. It was tough to sort of come wide and win, but that's pretty standard for Rosehill. So all in all, the track played quite well. Caulfield, similar, seemed to play pretty well. Most races were also dictated by tempo and that sort of thing, which is good. First race at Rosehill, starting off there. A really slow pace over the 2,000 metres. A couple of key scratchings helped Antonio Giuseppe to sort of get to the front and gain control, and he never really looked like getting beat.
And Salthouse getting close to
really a true test of 2,000 metres to see whether that's an issue, and stepping up to the Metroc trip 2400 next week. I'm not sure that he really proved himself as an out-and-out stayer. The horse I want to highlight is the horse second last year, More to Gain. They really like to ride him quiet, and he's obviously they publicly come out and say that he's not that keen on dry tracks or firm tracks, so he definitely was really good here. They've zipped home. He's still second last year. He does get quite a nice little run through on the point of the turn here, getting to the second from the outside. The winner gets home in super smart time, and he's taking ground off everything. He just peaks right at death, but he's really maintained a strong sprint, and how he's got away from the rest of the field here. I know they're all spread out, but he's really got away from the horses that he was back here with, so he's had to sustain a run longer than anyone. He looks like he's probably pulled up on the line, so I'm not sure about him getting further. I'd love to see him back to a mile race at Randwick, somewhere where he can, big field, wind up, really get over the top. Might sound silly, but I'd back him in an Epsom. Not that he's going to be there, but something like that. I think he's a really top-class horse, and a big field mile will suit him. Small fields, sprint's not his go. They don't want to ride him out of his comfort zone, and that's fine. You know what you're dealing with. The winner's gone fair enough. 4 Carats gone fair enough as well. He's a nice enough horse, Antonio Giuseppe. He's carried a big weight here. Done it easily. He was pretty much presented the race though, so you've not learned a lot for mine. But the class, best 3 horses have cleared out from the rest, and didn't mind the run of Plot Twist right on the line. Hard to see, you never really get to see him, but you see him bursting through late. Really took him a long time to wind up, but see how strong he was late, and where he ends up after the line is a good sign. He's maybe one to watch. Plot Twist. Race 2, and another walking race. The class took over. Thought there were 3 really good rides. You could see Abdallah really wanted to stay in touch with Janube, knew he didn't have to turn a foot of a few around him, and he's right there. Just missed just a great ride on from Tim Clark on Allegria. Knew that the pace was slow, knew that he was really going to struggle to get past these horses if he let them dictate to him any longer. Took off, and importantly never took his foot off the pedal, so made these other horses chase, really spend all their energy, and basically his fitness was just inferior to these 2 horses. Janube took forever to get past him, and Allergic just had that extra little bit up its sleeve. 3 great rides, and not much between them in the end, as you can see. I'm still not convinced that Allergic wants more than 2,000, even though it's won over the 2,400 here. and Allegria's the one with all the upside fitness-wise. Junub just tries its heart out, but just struggles to win races. So Allegri is probably the one going forward out of that race. I'm not sure where they go now with Allergic. I think 2,000 metre weight for age would probably be where it ends up. It's a solid horse. Race 3. The highway, and there's a bit of interference on the turn here. Well back runners in Cool and Black, Shotgun Roulette. There was a bit of money for Sadiqa. Others pretty easy in the market. The winner was well back late and had the 2 mile runs under its belt. They do go out pretty solidly and a good ride on it. I thought they'd go more forward, but it did just slot into a good position midfield, and that's the difference. So the winner's back in the middle here. Second horse behind the leader has been ridden a bit closer than it has been before, which was seemed to be a decent enough tactic up in distance. Just struggles to get out here quickly, causes a bit of interference, and chain reaction goes out. But the difference was that Shotgun Roulette was going up 200 or 300 metres in distance, and this horse was coming back 100 metres off a 2 mile runs, and that was the difference the last 200 metres. It was always going to be a big ask for Shotgun Roulette to hold it off, and the plugging sort of stayer from the country in Not For Export, Hard Fit, was another pointer that they'd gone hard there, and it was survival of the fittest. The horse that has no luck here is Van Halen, Danny Williams runner. He was only early in his preparation here and getting to this distance pretty quick. He was always going to struggle, but he had no luck and really finishes as well as anything under his own steam late. So he should be ready next time out in something very similar to this. That's about it for this race. There's a winning Shotgun Roulette straight away. Sadiqa back in trip, I can entertain it. Really trucking into its races on the bit and just a bit flat late, so I'd say back in distance will help it. Not For Export's going well, just needs run on, and basically that's all it needs. And Distinctive Looks obviously going well, but everything's gone in his favour there, but can't knock him. Race 4 for the fillies, and this didn't go how I certainly expected. I thought Ferrari would lead, misses the kick and really can't keep up. A couple of funny rides with horses much closer to speed than I anticipated. Zenalicious gets back, great ride from Tim Clark as we'll see, but very dominant and strong late. They did run along decently, but it's not an overly quick pace, so it's not the only deciding factor in the finish, and it's not overly flattered, even though it was given a good ride and was pace assisted. He basically eases her out of the race at the start. Ferrari back here when I thought it would be leading, and then you had Rosa Carolina, Overstep, Pecan, Smart Amelia. So Pecan, Smart Amelia look like two that would be back off the pace, and they're right up there. Fabier doesn't have a lot of luck, and the winner's just ridden quietly, saves all the ground, and probably was the difference in the end, but she still looks a very strong filly. Invincibella doesn't have a lot of room, has to use a bit of energy to get through, chases the heavily backed Overstep, who definitely did improve, but Zenalicious has got him covered really from here. Just love the way she's hit the line at basically every run this prep. And again, she pricks her ears on the line. There's more in the tank for her. Doesn't look like 1400 is going to top her off. Looks like she'll definitely get a mile or further, and that puts her into some rarefied air at the moment. There aren't many strong fillies out there, apart from Ome Sword and maybe Fox Play. So she looks a pretty progressive horse. Invincibella, second up 1400, did a really good job off a fast tempo, even though it was in behind it. Overstep improved and ran well. I think Pecans will be suited over further, ridden quietly. And they're the main ones. Rosa Carolina's needs to get back in distance, I would imagine. so it travels a bit more kindly. Race 5, the Group 2, Impending here with the blinkers on, looked like it was a mile to be ridden more aggressively, heavily backed, but they eased it right out of the race, sort of a bit of a surprise. We may as well watch this race. The tactics earlier, interesting. Obviously, they come out positive on Divine Prophet, and he throws the shoe, so he's in a bit of a funny spot here, has to wheeze and niggles again. I have looked at the race trying to find excuses for Divine Prophet, but it's hard to really find them apart from that shoe problem. He does get a little bit keen, but from this position on he gets every possible chance. He looks to have the race in his keeping, and Impending's well too strong for him late, so it's hard to find an excuse for Divine Prophet. The other horse that did improve considerably was Good Standing. Basically had every possible chance. Thronon drops out. Cellaman battles away really well up in class, and Divine Prophet and Impending and both had every opportunity from back in the field. Tempo was only solid. Basically a rock steady tempo. And Impending certainly improved with the blinkers on, and quite dominant late, really, considering it's come from behind. The winner, Good Standing, battles on really well, and Cellaman does well. All three of them are probably Guineas contenders, you know, there's not much between them, so, you know, barrier draws, things like that, lucky and running could be the difference. It's not as if Impending's completely dominant over the other two, but does look the one on the improve. I thought that Divine Prophet definitely had Impending's measure as they went up in trip, but it doesn't look that way now. Jockey change on Divine Prophet next start, and forgiving it for pulling the shoe could definitely make that half a length up. So not much between the two of them. Good Standing clear next. I doubt Cellaman will go to something like the Guineas, and if it goes back a grade or two, can definitely be competitive. Gloaming, heavily backed runners in Swear, High Mist, Prize Icon. Apparently saddle slips on High Mist as they come out, so big excuse there, only beaten a length and a half. Prize Icon has a lot of poor luck and a bit of a strange ride. No luck at pivotal times. Really bunch margins between these first 7. So a few warning signs, but it does look like it's a fairly strong staying race compared to watching things like the Guineas Prelude and these horses in Melbourne. I know they're over 1400, not 1800, but this does look like a decent pointer to races like the Spring Champion, and going forward to the Derby and the like. I really like this horse Veladero that won the race. I think that he'll be underrated again, as he's been, you know, it looks like he's been a bit of a lucky winner in a bunch finish, so he may be overlooked again, but I think he was written out of his pattern here. He does like to attack the line. Oh, he has attacked the line in his 2 previous wins, so a really good sign that he can be adaptable enough to take the speed up and fight them off, which he's done here. They really do have their chance, basically, to get past him. Quite a few of them do. Honeywine did on its back. Prized Icon, and here we'll go back and watch it in a second. Sweat got back off that gets chopped out here. Should have finished a touch closer. It's hard to say who's the dominant colt here. All things being told, you'd have to say that Prized Icon's probably a good thing beaten. Where do we watch here? Prized Icons here is on the back of Revolver and chooses to stay off its back and get on the back of Oculus, which is, there wasn't much difference in them price-wise, so it's hard to completely knock the position, but it's very strange to give that third defence position up at Rosehill if you can avoid it. It's not as if it's a 1,000 metre sprint race and there's nothing going to be weakening. It's an 1,800 metre race, so that usually gaps will appear. He then gets dragged back and gives this run to Honeywine. I think he wins probably by a length or more if he has the same run that Honeywine did. Here he then looks for inside runs back towards that run that he gave up, so he should have been in this position where he's now off that position and trying to find the gap. He probably clearly should have won the race. Where's the other one you can make excuses for, and if I missed the saddle did slip and he's had some issues early in the race, his effort's not too bad to be as close as he is at the finish. Tumultuous has improved, Retaliation's run well. All these horses look like they can go forward to a spring champion and run a race, so it's going to be a very competitive event. But no knock on the winner. Even though it has had a bit of a soft time in front, I don't think it really suited him. He was battling on as strong as anything really on the line. Race 7, the Golden Pendant, and Tycoon Tara dominates basically throughout, changing tactics from Dixie Blossoms and Dan Magic probably played into her hands. Tycoon Tara looked like she was going to get the soft lead, but there was always a bit of an issue where everyone saw the same thing. There was a case that Amarada would roll forward, there was a case that Pearls might kick up. There was a few different things that people sort of tried to predict and actually kind of worked out, like a few, not many races in the day where exactly what I thought would happen with Tycoon Tara with Dixie Blossom sitting outside it, and that from that position neither of them were going to want to pressure the other. Tycoon Tara's looking to run out a strong 1400, which was a slight query, and Dixie Blossom's ridden against her patterns, looking to go as soft as possible to keep her sprint that she has late intact. So the two leaders have played into their own hands. Dan Magic, obviously a great tactical ride to go forward and has its chance. First seal, first up, 1400 against some hard fit mares, was always going to struggle for mine, and she really did run quite well, I thought, with her condition just giving out, and Pearls just gets the right run to run in third late. Dan Magic will be peaking next start. First seals will improve a bunch. Heavens Above's on target for the Epsom. I don't think Pearls gets any better than that. She's just had every possible chance. The winner's impossible to knock. It's fit, flying, just keeps doing the same thing over again. It's nearly beaten the Colts and Geldings there on a few occasions, and she's dropped back to mares grade and been dominant really, even though she did have conditions to suit in just about every way imaginable. But that is not her fault. That's typical of her racing pattern, or horses with her racing pattern. They make their own luck. So she's done a good job. Dixie Blossoms, no knock on her. She's been ridden really well here. If she had been back with these horses, she would have been finishing with Heavens Above. It's not as if she would have been putting lengths on her. So a really good ride and a good result for Connections, considering the conditions of the day and the race and the way it was always going to pan out. So haven't learned a great deal. I didn't mind the runs of these horses back here. I'm not looking. I thought Heavens Above went really well, and Serene Majesty's done a good job second up. The only runners that were really disappointing as such were probably Zambar, Amarada and Soul for Song, but they really never got to the race, and you've just got to forgive them. It was just not run to suit them, and everything was against. So haven't learned a lot there. I think most of the horses are going really well. Definitely the horses that can win at their next starts are Typhoon Tara, Dixie Blossoms. I doubt Pearls is going to find a race that's suitable. Dan Magic's a knockout in anything. First Seal will improve a bunch fitness-wise. Heavens Above's absolutely flying and will peak. And Serene Majesty should be pretty close to ready next start, even if she comes back a level. But she's going well. Race 8. And Moral Victory was heavily backed. I was doing the preview that $13 or $14, $15 was available, and thought that was an incredible price. Came into $5 come start time. Really good ride from Collett. Really a couple of strange rides. Ride on High World was really quite weird. And you'll see that the three leaders of the race were High World, Entirely Platinum, and Cape Crusader. Cape Crusader's beaten them home by 5, so he's done a really good job second up. Same form line as Moral Victory. It's turned out well. Cosmic Cube improved, certainly had its chance. And Unequivocal and Old North have really been assisted by a fast pace here, and not sure that Old North's really finishing off his races. He did look the winner there at the furlong to me, and knocked up, but it does look probably one of the better races of the day compared to previous, par times and that for this sort of level. So they've run really well. Moral Victory here behind the leader. If we go back to the start, the strangest thing for me here was the positivity shown out of the gates. Like you can see, Blake Shin scrubbing High World. Very weird when it looked like he would have been much more effective in this sort of position. Back of midfield, Colt's the first to restrain, and that's probably what won him the race. He's got these other four attacking them, and he ends up on the fence in the trailing position and ends up sneaking through inside runs and comes around one horse, which is eventual second horse. So just a cracking ride from him. Every possible chance. The one that's had everything against is Cape Crusader, second up, always working and battled on valiantly. Cosmic Cute's had its chance to go past him, and he's gone as well as he can. Old North similar, and Unequivocal similar. These three have had every possible, the winners had every possible, but beaten them home comfortably and strong on the line. The second horse just done everything, had everything against it, and is definitely the horse to follow out of the race from a value standpoint. The last, and even though it looks like they ran along here, it was pretty soft tempo. They've sprinted home hard. The winner was heavily backed, and it was pretty dominant, really. It's hard to make a case for anything else. Behind it, Bull Rush, second up, ran a good race. He did look the winner for most of the race until Extensible loomed up. They've dominated the rest of the field comfortably. I thought O'Reilly's Revenge did a really good job, exposed nice and early, 4 and 5 wide coming around that home turn, and few went past it. He's battled back to beat them. The first uppers in Dillon's, Rojo, Harry Hotspur and Happy Hannah have all run really well. The pace didn't suit them, really. Even though they've had their chance, the two Kim Moore runners and Happy Hannah's back here, really good pipe opener to start. So the winners had every chance through the middle, but they have gone fairly steady. So all these runners are basically at an advantage. O'Reilly's Revenge has probably had the toughest run of them all, exposed earliest and widest, but no competition for the winner. This is Happy Hannah coming down the outside. Bull Rush looks to have him covered until Extensible runs on really powerfully late. And O'Reilly's Revenge does a good job to battle into third. I'm sure sections for Happy Hannah and even Magic's chance were pretty solid against the slow tempo there. So hard to knock anything. Bull Rush just looks like he's probably going to be ready next time out. Extensible can win again off that. I definitely underrated her, and she's still on the up. Happy Hannah will improve big time from that. And she's probably the other main horse to follow with some lofty ambitions this spring, I'm sure. So that's Rosehill. Go through it quickly. Horses to follow, more to gain in the first. He's a nice horse, something around 1,800, 2,000, even back to a mile can suit him. Shotgun Roulette's probably the horse to follow out of the highway, with Van Halen ready to do something as well. Zenalicious, the horse to follow out of this race for mine. I think Invincibility will step up again. Second up, 1,400 is not her go, and there are some horses here that can improve, especially Pecans with the quieter ride, probably over further. Impending, Divine Prophet, Good Standing can all go to Melbourne and be competitive. Salaman's got to go back in grade probably. The first 7 across the line here for mine can all go to a Spring Champion Stakes and be competitive. Tycoon Tara, Dixie Blossoms, Pearls, Den Magic, First Seal, Heavens Above All flying, and I think Serene Majesty is as well. I think they're all going to be competitive in mare's grade wherever they go. Nothing really out of that race, and nothing really out of the last. This horse to follow, probably Happy Hannah. She looks like she's come back in good form, and she's got plenty of upside. Moving on to Caulfield. We'll get through most of these races pretty quickly. Super Cash in the first, fairly soft pace, ends up pretty dominant in the end. She's a nice horse and she'll continue to be hard to beat in similar sort of grade. Grey Street's probably the one that can improve. Did look to a big chance to give her a race coming down the straight until her condition maybe looked to give very late. They both go past Mossing Around. Mossing Around gets back past Grey Street late, so maybe next start back a half a grade. Similar sort of race, similar distance. Grey Street can run a race. I'd forgive Jalan a little bit, but she's a bit of a hard horse to follow. She's got some quirks. She's a bit of a lunatic and hard to catch her. Mossing Around, fair enough too. But there's not a lot to come out of that race for mine. Not really too worried about the next three races. Not a lot happened, so we'll move on to the fillies Group 2, which is race 5. Pretty slow time here. They go pretty slow and kick on. So can be a little bit forgiving of those that got off the pace. And they've sprinted home decently. I'll have a look at this race. Just trying to line these up with the Sydney fillies, and I just can't see how they can possibly be competitive. They just don't look like they can get near ours. Whispering Brook had its chance in front. The winner sits outside it and beats it. The horses that do look a bit unlucky are back in the middle here. Miss Rock, I Am a Star has no luck, and Samara Dancer ridden well out of its pattern. I just want to have a quick look at the start to see what happened there again. I'll show you what happened. So it comes out a little bit on the back foot and then they're just completely negative out of the gate. So after being up on the pace over 1200 first up against Colts and Geldings, it's restrained out of the race against fillies over the 1400 and basically takes no part. So we'll watch Miss Rock getting held up here. I Am a Star. The winner sits outside the leader and holds on. Samara Dancer in here being held up late on and really not suited either. So there's a few forgives. The winner's good as, can't knock it. But she sat outside the leader and won well. There's certainly a few in there that can improve off that run, and these fillies just don't look exciting to my eye going to races like 1,000 Guineas. Race 6, and Colts and Geldings over the same distance, and pretty similar story. They don't go out super hard here, they go a little bit harder. The race looks a little bit stronger, but not a lot happens. So horses I'm interested in here are the winner, who lobs in a good position, Evacuation, who never gets in, 4 or 5 wide, no cover throughout. Seaburge is okay. Revolving Doors up on the speed, which is a nice place to be. Archives is disappointing, but gets caught with no cover for most of the race. Still disappointing. Saracino gets in behind the leader and doesn't really get a good crack at them. It's hard to tell here if Evacuation's got cover, but after a couple more 100 metres, you see Archives over racing here, hoping for a jockey change on it next time around, even though he was a little bit plain. So here we see Hardham's pulling hard with the slow tempo, comes out, pushes Evacuation at least 4, now 5, even wider around the turn. He's only second up here, first run Melbourne way, and he battles on quite well. He's one horse that I'll definitely be forgiving out of the meeting. Seaburge comes around him, nearly the winner at one stage. The winner's off the bridle, inside it in the blinkers, and gets to the outside of Hardham there and takes a while to wind up. He's a strong horse, bit of residual fitness from that Brisbane Carnival's obviously held him in good stead. Evacuation's in the middle behind Seaburge, now coming down the outside and looks a chance of dropping out before really, again, he's strong enough late for mine. Once he gets up near a pace and a mile and further, I really think he's going to be tough to beat. I think he is a hope in the Guinea still. Evacuation. Saraceno in behind them. In restricted room. It's a forgive. Archives doesn't really spit the bit out and had not a lot of luck. Jockey change back to Flemington. He's an interesting horse. Not sure about the Guineas, but not going to say no either. I think it's a forgive run there. So there's a few forgive runs there. Colts definitely look to have more upside than the fillies, but still nothing dominant here, especially considering the amount of horses that have got excuses. So not a bad race, but hard to line them up. The Group 1 and Bonorum, solid winner here. The ride's really good from Kieran McAvoy. You can watch here, he's a little bit slow out if anything, Bonorum, but McAvoy, without digging the horse up too much early, gets him in a position. You see there that he holds that position outside Fast and Rocking, which keeps the favourite counter-attack 3 wide and working, and it's probably the difference between counter-attack having its chance and not. So they eventually, these work around, they're running a fast time, they're running fast time. It's a strong tempo, and counter-attack's exposed over races, basically out of business, and McAvoy hadn't have held up that position early. He could have been forced back on the fence or something, and instead now he's on the back of counter-attack. Voodoo Lad follows him. Voodoo Lad climbing in trip and class does an enormous job. I think he is unlucky that he gets forced out earlier by Tavachi here and forced to be out and chasing a lot earlier than he would have been. He would have been on the back of Bonorum and sucking up and used his sprint a little bit better. Instead he's had to work really hard to try and get out and chasing, and I think that's probably cost him the race, just that little bit of interference on the turn. He's done an enormous job. I think Badawiya really improved. Solid enough from Fast and Rocking and Thames Court, who've had those inside runs. So they're in the right place at the right time. I'm not excited by this form, but I think Badawiya back to mare's grade's probably the one that I'm interested in. She's obviously improved from that first up run, and she's got probably more improvement in her, I would imagine. These horses are all going okay. You can definitely forgive counter-attack. It's raced wide, no cover over race, done everything wrong, and battled on. So here, the second last on the day. Blackheart Bart dominant. The cleaners rated the race to suit itself and set up a fairly slow tempo here. Played into backup Bart's hands. In saying that though, we've definitely done a good job to get him to improve. You see that by Jacinto Bay and these horses sticking on, they've not run this hard. He or she, which is a bit one pace, is just out sprinted by Blackheart Bart. Awesome Rocks had every possible. The run of the race for mines, this horse, Lucia Valentina, her last 100 metres is really exciting against a very slow tempo. And Blackheart Bart's dominant, but did have things to suit and can't knock him. He just does everything right. I just love the last 50 metres of Lucia Valentina there. I think she's back in a big way. Not sure she can win a Cox Plate, but she's going to run a huge race. That's apparently her next goal. He or she going well. Not sure where she'll end up. Maybe he'll end up. Not sure where he or she will end up. And I'm not sure where Blackheart Bart's going next, but he's obviously fit, flying, and from the right stable to continue on. He or she's definitely racing well and peaking. Not much else to be learnt. Tarzino's just looks to be going terrible, and the pace is not suited the two at the back, but they've also beaten a long way, especially Tavago. I'm pretty sure I heard it's going for a break. The slow tempo, you can see Jacinto Badge held on well for 4th in a Group 1. Last race, and quite possibly the performance of the day. They've gone really slow here. Some pretty slick horses that can run home slick times. Hellbent's come wide and rounded them up effortlessly. I couldn't imagine him doing this off his last run. He's back his second last. Maybe being ridden cold's the key to this horse, but if he reproduces this sort of sprint, he can win just about any race in the country. He's not saying this is a great race, but the way it's set up here, the leaders have had everything to suit them. They do everything they can to sprint home. They're no slouches in their own right, and this horse picks them up and runs past them. Regis is not a bad effort either, just gets way too far back against a slow tempo first up. This is just a different horse to what we've seen Darren Weir produce recently. He's always looked to have this sort of potential, but this is the first time he's unlocked it, and look at him charge away and charge through the line and not stop. Can't say I'm upset, it's not a good choice of words, but I've always wanted to see what this horse had, and it looks like that Darren Weir's found the key to win. And just probably the win of the day for mine, anywhere in the country that I saw. He's overcome a slow tempo. It wasn't easy to run on out wide there. He's done everything against whatever pattern there was and attacked the line. Just a huge effort. So quickly recounting horses to follow at Caulfield in the first. Maybe Grey Street's ready back in grade a little bit next time. Out of the fillies, I'm not really too excited by any of them. I can be forgiving of I'm a Star, Miss Rock, Samara Dancer. The Colts, I'm forgiving of Evacuation. I'm forgiving Archives. Seaburge is probably ready, but not sure if it can go up in grade, and the winner's the one going forward. It's only going to get better over further with fitness under its belt. Bataweir's one I'm interested in here, back to mare's grade. Nothing really out of the St George. And then Hellbent will just win again on that run. I don't care really where he takes, as long as it's not a Group 1 race. He's just gone too good there to see him getting beaten in anything similar next time out. So we're done there, and thanks guys. Hope something there for everyone. Cheers.